Did you see that Carlos Espina is being contacted by family members of people who have been sent to Guantanamo Bay who have no criminal record and are seeking asylum? Listen.
This is Luis Alberto Castillo Rivera, who is originally from Venezuela. But a few years back, him and his family moved to Colombia, where he lived for a few years trying to make ends meet. But in 2024, seeking better opportunities, he decided to immigrate to the United States. But he wanted to do so the right way, so he decided to first go to Mexico. Once there, he made an appointment through the CBP One app to ask for asylum legally at a port of entry. And eventually, he was granted an appointment for January 19th of 2025. Here you can see his name, Luis Alberto Castillo Rivera. And so on January 19th, he showed up to the border crossing point in El Paso, Texas, and presented himself to immigration authorities. And as is customary, they took him in for processing. But unfortunately for Luis, the CBP One program was eliminated by Donald Trump on January 20th. So instead of being released, his detention was prolonged.
Carlos goes on to explain that Luis was held longer because of his Jordan tattoo being confused for a gang tattoo, and that his family didn't know he was being sent to Guantanamo Bay until they saw the pictures on the news. This picture that was used by ABC News and other media outlets that just said, migrants are loaded onto military airplane. You didn't even ask the guy, what did he do to get on a plane to Guantanamo Bay? You see how brown bodies are just used to scare people? Because this guy made an appointment with the CBP One app, turned himself over, Trump canceled it, and he ended up in Guantanamo Bay. This man did nothing wrong. He was seeking asylum. And I'm inclined to believe Luis's story because a judge just blocked 3 Venezuelans from being moved to Guantanamo Bay because they're also seeking asylum. The judge saw that the 3 Venezuelan men that were going to be deported to Guantanamo Bay all passed their credible fear interviews as part of their request for asylum, and they were all being held at a New Mexico processing center for over a year. The 3 migrants are also challenging their unconstitutionally prolonged detention after fleeing Venezuela and seeking protection in the United States. It seems like the Trump administration is sending asylum seekers to Guantanamo Bay, and like Carlos said, this needs to get around to more news medias, and they need to properly investigate what's going on. Like one of the migrants who blocked his transport to Guantanamo Bay said, I fear being taken to Guantanamo Bay because the news is painting it as a black hole. They're not painting it like a black hole. It is a black hole. Once they're in there, it is hard for them to get legal services, for them to contact their families, for them to get the assistance that they need fighting their case. Seriously, we need these news outlets to do their jobs instead of just using brown faces to scare people. Interview, find out what's really happening, because these are innocent people being sent to this black hole. And remember, to keep up with news stories like these, check out my newsletter, my podcast, and one of my other social media sites, link in bio.